What up, YouTube? This is Daniel Rucker with True Table. Welcome to the table. Y'all know why y'all come over here to this channel. I gets cooking. Ain't nothing changed. That's exactly what I'm going to do today. So, without further ado, I'm just go ahead and get started. Fellas, you know what I'm starting to notice? You know what I'm seeing in this space that is life, that is dating, that is the manosphere, and all those things combined? Men, at the end of the day, in my opinion, I truly believe that men still want relationships. And they want relationships with quality women. The problem is that, fellas, we're competing with the media machine that is not allowing for women to see it necessary to be good quality women as they used to see it necessary. And that's not necessarily our fault. It's not even necessarily their fault. But what it is that it's a constant battle on trying to know how to identify a quality woman. So that's what the video is today. That's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna give you guys just a little bit of insight on what I believe you should be looking out for. Key characteristics, traits, and so on and so forth to be able to identify these particular women if you are the type of gentleman that still want to be in a relationship. See, a lot of guys, I don't know if they ever deeply think about what it is that they want. Sometimes when I'm even talking to females and they talk about men, they talk about it from a mystic perspective. They talk about it from a place that is, non-tangible, fantasy-based and not real. Fellas, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Sometimes guys do the same thing. Now, in our simplistic nature, I know that most men want general things. Her to be attractive, her to be smart, she can cook, that's a plus, that's a bonus. If she's funny and chill and got some dope habits, just likes to go to sports games, likes to shoot pool, maybe hobby-based things. But honestly, my guys, gentlemen, it still requires you to have a standard. And that standard needs to be understood for yourself. That standard needs to have been cultivated with a combination of experience, a combination of time, and something that you can look at as attainable as well as realistic. So you can't go out in the dating market and do it without a plan. Kind of like you wouldn't get on your car and travel across the country to a destination without directions. It would make no sense, right? You would need to know generally what you're looking for, generally what the route may be. Well, it's no different when it comes to dating, no different. And a lot of times what I see is that guys are very much open. They may have a type, but they allow for all women of sorts to flow, come in and out of their life. And then sometimes in their desperation, they try to build quality off of that. I see it now too, that it's popular to try to build relationships off of this hookup perspective or this hookup type of connection. We're going to have a situationship or we're going to have a jump off type of situation. Okay, I get it. You do you. But a man has to be very decisive in understanding what it is he's looking for. He has to be able to identify very quick and very early on where she belongs in your life. Is she going to be wifey material? And if she's going to be wifey material, well, you pursue that woman differently, fellas. You treat her differently. You have a series of questions, a series of practices that is going to allow for you to see what it is that you're looking to see. So, what do good girls generally possess? Well, I'll tell you. A good girl generally possesses an innocence. Most women, in my experience and in my opinion, but my lived experience as well as observed lived experience, fellas, a good girl doesn't necessarily have a look. I know that may sound like, kind of mind-boggling, but she doesn't necessarily have a look. And what do I mean by she doesn't necessarily have a look? I mean that you can't really look at a girl and then identify without a shadow of a doubt that one's a good girl because she has on a turtleneck. That one's a good girl because she has on stockings and she's covered up. That doesn't necessarily, there's no necessarily uniform for a good girl. It's a character-based thing, fellas. Good girls, from what I've seen, consistently are usually women that are tied to culture, usually women that have somewhat of an individualism. They think for themselves. They've been immersed in culture. They've been, prepped for certain aspects of life. They tend to have some level of code, focus. That could be culture. That could be, driven, things of that nature. they tend to not be so caught up with the popularity of things, not easily to go with the trends and the flows. They're almost those women that don't seem to stand out per se, in a sense of they're not usually loud. That's the easiest way I'll put it. And what I mean by loud is that they don't go out of their way to gain attention. They don't go out of their way to bring attention to themselves. So how would this look? Translate it to us, Daniel. Give it to us in a simpler form. A girl that feels it necessary to post every time she goes somewhere, every time she eats a new meal, or every time she rocks a new outfit, I would watch out for those type of characteristics. If she feels that her life needs to be lived 90% of the time online compared to real life, I would watch out for that. That wouldn't be someone that I would classify to be a good girl. I would have to give her an opportunity to show me, because a woman that thinks it is necessary to constantly share with the world everything she's doing, to me screams insecurities. Gentlemen, it's not a woman that you want to deal with. You'll always be competing with the global world and the social world of the type of attention and so on and so forth that she's seeking to get, which is the very reason why she's doing what she's doing. Another thing good girls tend to have is standards themselves. Most of the time when you're interacting with a good girl, it's not too complicated to have a conversation with her. And what I mean by it's not too complicated is that asking her questions should have a response from her to where she's able to answer them in a very logical manner, in a very responsive and not reactive perspective. What do I mean? What I used to do long time ago, I mean, I still do it now, but I used to do it regularly when I was a young pup coming up, trying to identify female nature and learning how they think and how they process. And feel free to take this particular, this particular practice, gentlemen. If I wanted to identify with the way a woman thought, I would use trigger words. One of the trigger words to help me to identify a woman and a girl was when I was referring to a girl I may be dating or a girl I was looking to date. And I would say something like, well, the relationship will work out as long as she allows me to train her. Or if she's not trained correctly, or she isn't trained correctly. And I would use the word train particularly because I understood that traditionally, most women don't ever like to be identified as second-class citizens, animals in this case, because some odd reason the word train just specifies that you're only training animals, which is not true, but that's a conversation for another time. And what I found, fellas, is in those interactions and in those times that I would use those words in the company of a woman and we're conversing with a woman or a female in this perspective, if she responded with, well, what do you mean? Or how did you come to that conclusion? Or what makes you say that? I was usually in the company of a mature, developed, upward mobile woman, because she was willing to engage in the conversation, respond and not react. On the flip side, if I use the same word and the woman was like, what you mean, train? She ain't no dog, blah, 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 and all the, all the extra characteristics, then it was easy for me to identify that I was in the company of a little girl. I was in the company of someone who has not encountered structure, who has not encountered male energy, who has not encountered, being covered and protected by a man. Because normally when a woman hears something like that and she's heard it before, she's been around men, it's very easy for her to understand that what a man may be saying is, one, not geared towards trying to hurt her feelings. Two, it's not about her. So get your head out your butt and stop being so egotistical, sweetie, because the world doesn't revolve around you. So on and so forth. And that's what I need from my gentleman, is to start to understand that the characteristics of a good girl are way different than one that is not a good girl. Now, does this mean that there could be a good girl that is developing? Sure. But the problem is, gentlemen, is that most men of what I see is they don't understand what it looks like. See, there's a consistent trait. There's a consistent characteristics of good girls, good women. Most men's biggest fear, in my opinion, for what I've heard, what I've observed, the conversation I've had, the young men I've counseled, is loyalty. And I get it, fellas. Oh, I understand. So how do you since you're talking to us, Daniel, how do we as men, Daniel, identify that a woman is going to be loyal? How can we pick one out of the mass that are the millions of women on this planet, if not billions of women on this planet, and be able to identify that she won't, do me wrong. She won't turn her back. She won't, betray my trust. She's a trustworthy person. Well, hate to burst your bubble, gentlemen. There is no guarantee when you're dealing with a person. When you're dealing with a woman, there is no such thing as a guarantee. However, there are, again, characteristics of a woman that can exemplify traits, nature, and things about her that will be able to better identify that she would be somebody that can rock with you. She'd be somebody that's down for the cause. She'd be somebody that without a shadow of a doubt that if the world came crashing down, she'd be right there on your hip by your side. What does that look like? You have to, again, in my opinion, gentlemen, find a woman that has a standard, has standards for herself. What does this look like? She lives her life disciplined. Some of these things could be like going to the gym and making sure that her health is of the utmost importance. She's usually going to be somebody who practices a general cultural regimen of sorts. She's going to be someone who's going to identify that family is very important. And family, in the sense of being important, is not just the saying of family, but she's going to make sure that she puts the effort into prioritizing things that are substance-based. She's going to be caring and considerate of most, if not all, people around her. She'd be the type of girl that if you were in public and someone needed her help, that she would be willing to give the shirt off her back, or a meal, or maybe even some money, and not just once, but consistently. These are usually characteristics of that you are working with someone who has good character, like a golden heart. Now, what does this woman look like? Because I know every man wants to know, what does she look like? Well, gentlemen, there is, again, no look. We would hope that these characteristics are wrapped in the very aesthetic that is the woman that we want. Just for popular identification, someone like a Kim K, or I don't know, a Charlize Theron, or these celebrities you guys know, so that's why I'm using them as examples. You would want those characteristics to belong in women that look like that, a Salma Hayek or whichever. And it may occur, but it may not. As a man, if you're looking for a queen, if you're looking for someone solid, if you are open and looking to establish a relationship, and you want something that's going to be sustainable and long lasting, she may not be the hottest girl ever. She may not be the showstopper. She may, but she may not. What I would encourage is that if it's something that you want to be long lasting, gentlemen, that is more about the core of the woman, not so much just how she looks. If she is beautiful and she's attractive, she takes care of herself, we should have no issues. We should have no problems. But a lot of times, there's this girl named Carmen Electra, and I'm a little older than you guys, so, forgive me. But Carmen Electra was one of the 90s girls that, she had that look. What was the other one that was on Baywatch? Pamela Anderson was another one. Women that look like that I won't say that they're not good women, but I will say that in most cases, they don't look like that. In most cases. Can they look like that? Absolutely. Do they usually look like that? Not in all cases. It is up to you, men, to be able to practice enough in identifying the characteristics of these women. But one of the key things that I found that to be consistent, and I know I'm going to have to talk about this subject some more to give you guys some more nuggets on really how to do this and do it correctly, it's the conversation. It is what she's able to take that you give her and be able to respond to it, be able to converse with it. She'll be seasoned. She'll be knowledgeable. She won't be easily offended. These are characteristics of someone who's centered usually and grounded, mature. And 9 times out of 10, that's the characteristics of a good woman. So that's what I want to talk about today. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope you got something from this video. Welcome to all my new subscribers. I appreciate you. The channel is steadily growing. I have a goal by January to be up to 1,000 subscribers. So go ahead and help me get there. You know, for all of those who are a part of the Truth Table family, I appreciate it. You made a great decision. I hope you gained something from this video. Go ahead and share the content. Go ahead and like it, hit the notification bell so that you'll be up to date on every time that I upload a new video. I don't want you to miss anything because you guys know what I do over here. I get cooking, and that's not going to stop. So this is Daniel Rucker with Truth Table signing out. Until next time, you guys have a good one. Thank you.